I only found out after I died. Huai Jing was married to me for 3 years. But he never loved me. He kept me in the side courtyard of the Lu estate, making me learn etiquette and endure grievances, but in a hidden compartment in his study, he kept my older sister's old letters. He said he'd take care of me in this life for her sake, hoping she'd look at him in the next. It turns out I wasn't his wife. I was the debt my sister owed him, a pawn chosen by the Lu family, and a burden that everyone thought I should be grateful anyone wanted at all. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in the Shen family's parlor. My sister was holding my hand, asking me with a smile, Mian Yin, do you like Huai Jing or Pei Chang'an? In my past life I chose Huai Jing, which led to 3 years of cold neglect and a lonely death on a snowy night, this time in front of everyone. I slowly pulled my hand back. Sister, I don't want either of them. The night I died in the side courtyard, snow was falling outside the window. The charcoal brazier had long gone cold. I was burning up with fever, my vision blurring, but I still gripped my maid's hand. I want to see Huai Jing. The maid knelt by the bed, her voice trembling. Madam, the master is in his study. He said he won't see anyone. I gave a small smile. After 3 years of marriage, he wouldn't even see me one last time. I leaned against the wall, dragging myself step by step to the study. The door was slightly ajar, candlelight leaking through the crack. Huai Jing stood before his desk. Opening the hidden compartment, he took out an old letter, his thumb gently stroking the paper. His expression was tender in a way I'd never seen. I heard him whisper, I'll take care of Mian Yin for you in this life. In the next, could you be the one by my side? At that moment, the metallic taste of blood surged in my throat. So he married me. Not because he liked me, but to take care of me for my sister. He used my entire life, just to get her to look at him in the next. I collapsed in the snow, my fingertips growing cold. When I opened my eyes again, the scent of warm incense hit me. In the Shen family's parlor, my sister was holding my hand, smiling gently. Mian Yin, do you like Huai Jing or Pei Chang'an? Both men in the hall looked at me at once. Pei Chang'an looked away first, as if afraid I'd choose him. Huai Jing still looked noble and refined, but there wasn't a hint of joy in his eyes. In my past life I didn't understand, but in this life, I slowly pulled my hand from my sister's palm. Sister, I don't want either of them. Sister, I don't want anyone. As I spoke, the laughter in the parlor died out. My sister's hand remained suspended in mid-air, the smile on her face slowly freezing. The jade pendant at Pei Chang'an's waist swayed slightly. He had been standing there nonchalantly, but hearing my words, he seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. He immediately lowered his head to avoid my gaze. Huai Jing didn't move. He remained where he was, his sleeves hanging perfectly straight, his expression as calm as if nothing had happened. Thinking I was just shy, my sister pulled me into her arms. Mian Yin, don't be afraid. I'm just asking. Chang'an was titled a marquis at a young age. He has a spirited personality. Huai Jing is refined and steady. He knows best how to take care of people. I followed her gaze. Pei Chang'an gripped his jade pendant tightly, as if afraid I'd change my mind and choose him. Huai Jing looked at me too, his eyes calm. No joy, no anticipation. In my past life I couldn't read that look. I thought his willingness to marry me meant he liked me. But I waited 3 years in the Lu house to finally understand one thing. Someone being willing to take care of you doesn't necessarily mean they love you. Could just be a responsibility. A debt? Or a burden they were forced to take on? I slowly lowered my head, pulling my hand from my sister's palm. Sister, care is not the same as love. I don't want to marry someone who only takes care of me. Huai Jing's fingers by his teacup suddenly jerked. The tea rippled, and he finally looked up at me. In that instant I knew. He understood. Huai Jing understood. His hand tightened around the teacup, his pale knuckles pressing against the rim. A bit of tea splashed out, landing on his clean sleeve. My sister's expression darkened. Just as she was about to speak, Huai Jing took a step forward. Second Mississippi, his voice was still gentle, just like in the parlor in my past life. Every word perfectly composed. If you are willing, I will still marry you. I will keep you safe. As he said this, flashes of the past flooded my mind. At the Liu family dinner table, my mother-in-law frowned as I dropped a piece of cake. She coldly ordered, "From now on, let her eat in the side hall." Huai Jing sat at the head of the table, merely looking down at his tea. He said, "Mother is teaching you etiquette. It's for your own good." On a stormy night, I clutched my blanket and knocked on his door, too terrified to even speak clearly. The shadow behind the door didn't move. He said, "Mian Yin, you have to grow up eventually." And at that year's spring banquet, I misquoted a line of poetry. The ladies in the hall giggled behind their hands. I nervously gripped my sleeves, looking back at him for help. He only frowned and whispered, "Don't speak anymore, lest you embarrass yourself." In my past life, I thought, these weren't big deals. But it turns out, when small things pile up, they can crush a person. I looked up at the man before me, as elegant as the moon, my eyes stinging with tears. But I didn't back down. "Lord Liu, I will not marry you." Huai Jing's expression faltered. I said, emphasizing every word, "You can keep me safe, but you cannot protect my heart from breaking." The parlor became so quiet you could hear a pin drop. The gentleness on Huai Jing's face finally began to crack. Before he could speak, a light chuckle came from the side. Cheng leaned back in his chair, fingering the jade pendant at his waist, his eyes full of undisguised disdain. The second Miss Shen has grown quite picky. He glanced over at me, his smile deepening. "Huai Jing's willingness to marry you is already a rare stroke of luck. Do you really think you're in a position to choose?" My fingers clenched tight. It was the same in my past life. The Liu family thought I was stupid. The noble ladies mocked my slowness. Even the servants whispered behind my back that marrying Huai Jing was a blessing from my ancestors. Everyone thought that because someone wanted me, I should be grateful. I kept my head down, my fingertips turning cold. The next moment, the sound of a porcelain cup shattering exploded. My sister hurled her teacup at Cheng's feet. Shards flew everywhere, and tea soaked the hem of his robe. Cheng's face paled. "Jiwei, you, shut up." My sister stood up and pulled me behind her. She looked at Cheng, her gaze as cold as frost. My sister is not some unwanted object. If she doesn't like you, it doesn't matter how good you are. Huai Jing took half a step forward, seeming to want to explain. My sister didn't even look at him. "Lord Liu, please leave as well." After they left, the parlor finally fell silent. My sister turned and hugged me, her arms trembling slightly. "Mian Yin." Her voice was a faint rasp. Was I wrong all along? I didn't answer. I just buried my face in her arms. my tears slowly soaking her clothes. That night, my sister didn't return to her own courtyard. She had the lamps put out, leaving only a small candle by the bed. The warm yellow light fell on the bed curtains. She tucked me in, but her hand never let go of mine. Mian Yin, she asked softly, if you don't choose them, what kind of person do you want? I looked at the lotus embroidery on the canopy and thought for a long time, until a drop of candle wax fell, hitting the brass holder with a soft thud. Then I whispered, he doesn't have to be powerful or have beautiful handwriting, but he can't mind that I'm slow, and he can't mind that I'm not smart. I gripped the corner of the quilt. My voice was so soft it was barely audible. You can't tell me to be sensible, even when I'm crying. My sister remained silent for a long time. She simply pulled me into her arms and gently patted my back. At dawn the next day, she changed me into a new dress and led me onto a carriage. When the wheels came to a stop, the sound of music drifted from outside. I lifted the curtain and saw South City Pear Garden written on the plaque. I immediately pulled my hand back. Sister, I'm not going in. My sister took my hand. Her voice was even softer than last night. Don't be afraid. This time I won't choose for you. I'm just taking you to have a look. She pushed open the side door of the pear garden. Pear blossoms covered the courtyard floor. The sound of a zither came from deep within, as gentle as spring water brushing over stone steps. I looked up. A young man was sitting under the veranda, head bowed, tuning his zither. Hearing footsteps, he looked up. The corners of his eyes curved slightly into a smile. Suddenly I forgot to hide. The boy under the veranda set down his zither, stood up and bowed to my sister. My sister led me over. Her tone was careful, as if afraid of startling me. His name is Yen. He's staying at the pear garden for now. He can tune instruments and compose music. I hid behind my sister, peeking at him with only half my face showing. Yen didn't stare at me like others did, nor did he mock my cowardice. He simply moved the small stool by the zither table outward. Please sit here, Mississippi. The sun won't reach you here. I froze for a moment, seeing that I didn't hide. The tension in my sister's eyes finally eased. She whispered, his background is clean. He has no family entanglements. If you like him, he can join the Shen household. I didn't quite understand, so I looked at Yen. Joining the Shen household? What does that mean? Yen didn't brush me off. He pressed his fingertips against the strings and answered seriously, it means that wherever you are, miss, that is where I will be. My face suddenly flushed hot. My sister couldn't help but smile beside us. Flustered, I lowered my head. Yen pushed the zither toward me. Would you like to try, miss? I reached out my hand, but feared I might break his instrument. He gently plucked a string, signaling for me to follow suit. I mimicked him and touched a string. Cheng! A sharp, jarring noise suddenly rang out. Startled, I pulled my hand back instantly. I hurriedly said, I didn't mean to. But Yen smiled. It sounded lovely. I looked up at him and whispered, liar. He shook his head, the corners of his eyes curving. I'm not. This is the first time you've played for me, so of course it sounds lovely. Pear blossoms fell from the eaves, landing beside the zither. I looked down at my fingers, and a sudden sweetness filled my heart. Seeing I was no longer shrinking away, Yen pushed the zither a bit closer. Touch this string lightly. It won't hurt. He didn't grab my hand directly, but guided me from half an inch away, leading my fingers to descend slowly. The sound was no longer harsh. Just as I was about to ask if it sounded good, hurried footsteps suddenly came from outside. The next moment, the side door of the pear garden was pushed open. Huai Jing stood at the door, still carrying the chill of the outside air. His gaze fell between Yin and me, and his expression turned cold. Shen Mian Yin. Hearing him call my full name, my shoulders flinched violently. In my past life, whenever I did something wrong, that was how he would call me. It was like that when I misquoted a poem at a banquet, and when I knocked on his door on a stormy night. I instinctively backed away, my fingers fumbling the strings. A discordant noise rang out. Yin immediately stood up, shielding me. His voice remained gentle, yet he did not back down. Lord Lu, you're frightening her. Huai Jing's gaze grew even colder. A mere zither player is not worthy of touching her. Yin lowered his eyes and let out a soft chuckle. Whether I am worthy or not is not for Lord Lu to decide. Huai Jing's expression darkened, and he stepped forward to bypass him. I gripped my sleeves tightly and slowly peeked out from behind Yin. Lord Lu. He paused in his tracks. My voice was small, but I spoke clearly. My sister brought me here. Yin didn't bully me. I glanced at the zither, then at the boy standing in front of me. He even said my playing was lovely. Huai Jing froze on the spot. In that moment, he looked as if he'd been stung. Even his outstretched hand stiffened in midair. Huai Jing slowly withdrew his hand. He looked at me. His voice kept very low. Shen Mian Yin. Come back with me. I gripped the back of Yin's clothes and didn't move. Huai Jing's brow furrowed. Do you even know what kind of place this is? It's a den of all sorts of people. He just said a few sweet words. And you believed him? Sweet words. I dazed for a moment. In the 3 years of my past life, Huai Jing had never tried to make me happy. When I ate cold meals in the side hall, he said, You must learn the rules. When I stood in the storm clutching my quilt, he said, You have to grow up eventually. When I was mocked at banquets until I couldn't lift my head, he said, Don't speak anymore. He always told me to be sensible, to be quiet, and to stop being a nuisance. But I've already suffered through one lifetime. I gripped my sleeves tight and slowly shook my head. I'm not leaving. Huai Jing's eyes darkened, and he reached out to pull me. I instinctively shrank back. The next moment, Yin grabbed his wrist. The wind brushed the zither strings, making a low sound. Yin stood before me, the smile in his eyes completely gone. Lord Lu, Mian Yin can only leave if she wants to. If she doesn't want to, no one can take her. Huai Jing stared at him coldly, but Yin turned his head, his voice softening again. Miss, do you want to go back? I looked at him, and my heart suddenly felt at peace. This was the first time someone asked what I wanted first. I whispered, I want to stay. After I said I wanted to stay, Huai Jing stood there for a long time. In the end, he said nothing more. He only gave Yin a cold look and swept out of the room. In the evening, my sister came to the pear garden to fetch me herself. She saw the zither dust on my wrists, but didn't scold me. She simply wiped my fingers clean and asked, Were you happy today? I nodded. Back at the manor, I still thought of the pear garden. I thought of how Yin shielded me, and how he bowed his head to ask, Do you want to go back, miss? The next morning, a young maid came in carrying a paper parcel. Second, miss, this was sent from the pear garden. Inside the parcel was an osmanthus cake and a neatly folded small note. I read slowly. staring at it for a long time. Only a few words were written. Osmanthus cakes today. Sweet. Thinking of you. The tips of my ears flushed hot. In my past life I had written letters to Huai Jing too, asking if he'd be back for dinner, asking why his study lamp stayed lit so late, asking if he could stay with me on a stormy night. When those letters were sent out, they were like stones sinking into cold water, without an echo. But Yin was different. He knew I was a slow reader, so every letter was very short. It's raining today. Remember to dress warmly. The strings are replaced. Waiting for you to play. Yesterday's sound was truly lovely. I tucked those notes one by one into a small box. Every time I looked at them, my heart felt 3 times as sweet. The 6th day of the 6th month, my sister held a flower banquet at the Shen estate. The courtyard is in full bloom with crabapple blossoms. Noble ladies of the capital sit under the flower trellis, chatting and laughing. Pei Cheng and Huai Jing have arrived as well. In the past, I envied them most for standing by my sister's side. One was a dashing youth in fine robes. The other was cold, elegant, and upright. They looked like characters straight out of a storybook. But now I sit in a corner, staring only at the pastries on the table. The osmanthus cakes sent from the pear garden yesterday were sweeter. Just as I'm thinking this, a burst of cheers suddenly erupts in the courtyard. Pei Cheng draws his sword and begins to dance. The blade's light sweeps through the branches, plucking the most vibrant crabapple blossom. He walks toward my sister with a smile and holds out the flower. Jiwei, this is for you. My sister glances at it but doesn't take it. The crabapple blossom freezes in mid-air. The smile on Pei Cheng's face fades slightly. On the other side, Huai Jing spreads out paper to paint. Everyone assumes he'll paint my sister. But when the scroll is unfurled, besides the courtyard full of crabapples, there's a young girl sitting in the corner eating pastries. Someone covers their mouth and giggles. Lord Lu. Who is this you've painted? Huai Jing's brush pauses, and a drop of thick ink falls, landing right on the hem of the girl's skirt in the painting. He looks up at me, but I don't look at him, because a little maid is quietly slipping a paper parcel into my hand. Inside the parcel is a piece of candy and a short note. If you're unhappy at the banquet, have one. I put the candy in my mouth, and the sweetness slowly melts away. Amidst the noise of the courtyard, I can't help but let my eyes crinkle into a smile. Before the candy has even finished melting, someone under the trellis suggests a zither competition. The lady-in-waiting beside the princess brings out the prize. A string of small white jade bells. The bells are delicate, emitting a crisp, clear chime whenever the wind blows.
I'm instantly captivated.
In my past life, I had wanted a string of bells like that. Huai Jing's study was too quiet. So quiet that even breathing felt like a mistake. I once begged him to hang a string of bells by the window, so they would chime when the wind blew, making it feel like someone was talking to me. He only gave me a look. Childish. Later in that study, there was nothing of mine left. But in this life, I still like that string of bells. I stare a bit too long, and Huai Jing notices. He puts down his brush and suddenly speaks. Does the second Miss Shen want them? Every gaze in the courtyard turns toward me. The candy wrapper in my hand is instantly crumpled. Huai Jing's voice is gentle. If you can finish a song, I will win them for you. He probably thinks he's giving me an opportunity, but I only feel my palms go cold. I remember the spring banquet in my past life, when I misquoted a line of poetry, and the laughter of the hall pricked me like needles. I'm afraid of playing a wrong note, afraid the sound will be jarring, afraid everyone will look at me and laugh again. I open my mouth, just about to shake my head, when a smiling voice suddenly comes from outside the gate. She wants me to win them for her. Everyone turns around. A yen stands under the crabapple tree holding a zither. Fallen petals clinging to his hem, looking at me with a smile. As the yen walks into the banquet with his zither, the laughter in the courtyard dies down. Someone recognizes him, whispering, "Isn't that the musician from the pear garden in the south?" The looks directed at me instantly become subtle, pitching and sneers. His sword not yet back in its sheath. The second Miss Shen has peculiar taste these days. She doesn't want Huai Jing, but takes a fancy to a mere performer. My sister sets down her teacup gently. The bottom of the cup hits the table. Not loudly, but it makes Pei Chang'an shut his mouth. Ian acts as if he didn't hear those words. He carries the zither to the front, bows to the princess, then turns back to look at me. "Which song would you like to hear, miss?" Everyone is waiting for him to show off his skill, but he only asks what I want to hear. I clutch my sleeves and whisper, "I only know the one you taught me last time." Yen smiles. "All right." He sits at the zither table, his fingertips descend, and when the first note rings out, the crabapples seem stilled by the wind, and even the chatter stops. He isn't playing high mountains and flowing water, nor any of the complex pieces the noble ladies usually compete with. The melody is slow and light, like under the corridors of the pear garden, where he guided my hand to touch the strings. Like when I played a wrong note, and he didn't laugh, but only said it sounded lovely. It's like someone kneeling before me, telling me over and over, "Don't be afraid, take it slow." The song ends. The princess personally hands him the jade bells. "This music is pure. This is your reward." Ian takes the jade bells, but doesn't put them on himself. He walks over to me, leans down and ties the string of white jade bells around my wrist. The bells chime softly. He says, "These belong to Mian Yin. I only finished the song she wanted to play." I look down at the jade bells on my wrist, and my nose suddenly stings with tears. When the banquet disperses, the sky has already darkened. I walk out behind my sister. The jade bells on my wrist catch the wind, chiming softly once. Just as we leave the flower gallery, Huai Jing blocks our path. He looks at the bells on my wrist, his gaze incredibly heavy. "Shen Mian Yin. Do you really trust him?" I take half a step back. My sister frowns and moves forward, but I gently pull on her sleeve. Huai Jing's voice is tight. He's just a musician from the pear garden, lowly status, and of unknown origin. A man like that is not worth entrusting your life to. The jade bells chime again. I look up at him. "Then are you worth it?" Huai Jing freezes. I slowly tighten my grip on the bells. "In our past life, you married me. Not because you liked me. You just wanted to repay the favor you owed my sister." The color in Huai Jing's face drains away completely. He looks at me, as if finally certain of something. "You remember too?" I don't answer. His eyes suddenly turn red. His voice raspy, unlike the cold Lord Lu of before. "Mian Yin, I can change in this life. I will protect you. I won't let my mother scold you. On stormy nights, I will stay with you. The letters you write, I will answer them all. In my past life, I waited for 3 years, until my health failed. Until the side courtyard grew cold with snow, I never received a single word. Hearing it now, I'm not as happy as I imagined." I touch the jade bells on my wrist. They are sweet, but they weren't given by him. I shake my head. Huai Jing. Kindness that comes too late. is no longer sweet. After I say that, Huai Jing stands there, his face as white as paper, as my sister leads me away. The jade bells chime all the way. Though the sound is beautiful, my heart is in a mess. The words I couldn't wait for in my past life are like rain that comes too late, falling on flowers that have already died. Back at the manor gate, Yin doesn't ask what Huai Jing said. He just holds 2 river lanterns, waiting for me by the carriage. Miss, would you like to release some lanterns? The night wind blows, crabapple petals clinging to his sleeves. His voice is soft, as if afraid to disturb me. I nod. There aren't many people by the river. Lanterns float on the water one by one, like fragments of a heart. Yin hands me a brush. Write a wish. I hold the brush and think for a long time. My writing is slow and crooked. In the end, I only write 3 words. No more pain. Yin looks at that lantern, silent for a long time. The wind ripples the river, and the lantern's shadow sways gently. He picks up the other lantern and bows his head to write a line. It's even shorter than mine. She must have sweetness. I look at those words and can't help but ask who she is. Yin looks up at me, a smile in the corners of his eyes. My girl. My face instantly flushes hot. I almost dropped the lantern in my hand. The 2 river lanterns drifted away with the current. Yin suddenly asked in a soft voice, Mian Yin, may I like you? I was stunned, but he didn't rush me. He simply brushed away the petals that had fallen on my shoulder. No rus, take your time to think. I'll wait for as long as it takes. After releasing the lanterns, I didn't dare look Yin in the eye for several days. He didn't push me either. He just sent short notes as usual. It's windy today. The jade bells will chime. The osmanthus cakes are fresh out of the oven. I saved 2 pieces for you. 3 days later, my sister took me to the princess's manor to admire orchids. Just as I entered the garden, I saw Cheng blocking the corridor. He held a piece of paper in his hand, with a mocking smile, and here I thought he was some noble figure. He slapped the paper onto the table. Turns out he's just a musician sponsored by the South City Pear Garden. Everyone's eyes immediately fell on Yin. Cheng tilted his chin, his tone becoming even more contemptuous. A mere entertainer, daring to climb the social ladder into the Shen family? Yin stood by my side, his expression calm, as if he hadn't heard a word, but I saw his sleeves fluttering in the wind, revealing the red marks on his wrist from tying the jade bell for me that day. My fingers slowly clenched into a fist. In my past life, when people mocked me, Huai Jing always told me to stay quiet. But this time, I didn't want to shut up. I took a step forward, shielding Yin with my body. He isn't climbing anything. The entire garden fell silent. My voice trembled. But I didn't back down. It's because I love listening to him play. And he never complained that I was slow, or that I was stupid. Cheng's face turned pale. My sister suddenly let out a laugh, and said leisurely, Cheng, if my sister doesn't want someone, I won't want them either. Cheng froze completely. Yin looked down at me. His eyes seemed filled with starlight. He said, Mian Yin, you're amazing. My heart was racing. So this is what it feels like to protect someone. After the first time I protected Yin, Cheng didn't show his face for a long time. But Huai Jing began to frequent the Court of Judicial Review. That day, I went to the pear garden. Just as I reached the back alley, I saw Huai Jing standing at the door with his men. The door to the pear garden was half open. 2 strangers blocked his path. They wore ordinary gray clothes, but short blades were tucked into their waists. They moved incredibly fast. With just one move, they forced the court officers back half a step. Huai Jing saw me, and his face darkened further. Shen Mian Yin. Do you see this? He threw an old scroll onto the stone steps. The pages were blown open by the wind, revealing a bright red official seal. The pear garden is just his hiding place. You really think he's just a musician? I froze on the spot. Huai Jing approached step by step, his voice chillingly cold. Rong Yan, the young master of the Rong clan from the south. He went missing after entering the capital 3 years ago. The Rong clan controls the trade routes and the weapon and mineral mines. Their power rivals that of princes. He looked at Yan, his eyes filled with a piercing coldness. Shen Mian Yin. He lied to you. He isn't at. He's a member of the Rong clan. The handkerchief in my hand suddenly fell to the ground. Yan stood inside the pear garden gate, without a hint of panic on his face. He didn't offer an explanation, nor did he avoid my gaze. He simply walked slowly to me, bent down to pick up the handkerchief, and handed it back to me. Mian Yin. His voice was very soft. My name is indeed not Yan. My fingertips trembled. He looked at me and said every word clearly. But my kindness to you was never a lie. After Yan said it wasn't a lie, he didn't pressure me to believe him immediately. He simply had a carriage prepared. My sister was worried, so she personally escorted me to the outskirts of the city. Only when she saw that the small courtyard was guarded by the Shen family's men did she finally let go of my hand. The yard wasn't large. A few stalks of green bamboo grew by the wall. Several old case files were piled on the stone table. Yan, Rong Yan, stood in the courtyard and placed a jade pendant carved with Rong in my palm. My original name is Rong Yan, young master of the southern Rong clan. I held the jade pendant, my fingertips feeling a bit cold. He didn't rush to continue. He waited for me to look up before going on. 3 years ago, there was internal strife in the Rong clan. I was hunted by my own kin and fled to the capital. The pear garden was a hideout and a place to investigate the case. He spoke very slowly. I listened just as slowly. When I didn't understand, he would stop and rephrase it in simpler terms. The wind rustled through the bamboo leaves. I looked at him and finally asked the question I feared most. Then, when you said you joined the Shen family, was that a lie too? Rong Yan's expression changed instantly. He took a half step forward, but then stopped abruptly, fearing he might scare me. No. That part is true. He looked at me, his eyes more serious than ever before. Rong Yan is real. Yan is also real. My identity as the young master is real. And my wish to stay by your side is also real. If you don't like the south, I won't go back. If you're afraid of the unfamiliar, I will join the Shen family. His voice softened. Mian Yin, I will never let you suffer for my sake. I looked at him for a long time, until his eyes began to show a hint of panic. Only then did I ask softly, then will you still write me short notes in the future? Rong Yan was stunned. Then he smiled. I will. I'll write them for a lifetime. After Rong Yan promised to write to me forever, my sister began preparing the marriage contracts. One was a betrothal letter from the Rong clan master. The other was a document written by Rong Yan to join the Shen family. The day the news broke, Huai Jing came to the Shen manor. He stood under the corridor, his eyes bloodshot. His official robes were wrinkled by the wind, losing all of his former cold and dignified poise. Shen Mian Yin. He looked at me, his voice incredibly hoarse. He is the dignified young master of the Rong clan. It's impossible for him to truly stay for you. He's only sweet-talking you now because of the novelty. I gripped my sleeves tightly and said nothing. Huai Jing took a step forward, as if he finally couldn't hold back. Only I know what you're afraid of. And only I know how much you suffered in your past life. I looked up at him. The wind in the corridor was cold, making the jade bells on my wrist chime softly. I slowly shook my head. You knew. Huai Jing was taken aback. I looked at him and said word by word. But you didn't care. His expression froze. Continued. I'm afraid of thunder, you knew. I didn't have enough to eat at the Lu house, you knew. Others mocked me for being silly and slow. You knew that too. But you never once stood in front of me. Huai Jing's lips gradually lost their color. I touched the jade bells on my wrist. My voice very soft. Yin doesn't know about my past life, but he knows if I'm hurting right now. Huai Jing stood there, unable to say another word. After Huai Jing left the Shen Manor that day, Rong Yin never mentioned him again. He continued investigating the old Rong clan case until 3 days later. On the stone table in the courtyard, there were old ledgers, confessions, and yellowed letters. Rong Yin pushed one of the letters toward me. Mian Yin. The Lu family's name is here. I looked down. The paper stated that 3 years ago, during the weapon mine incident, the Lu family had passed on information for someone and received a sum of money in return. And in my past life, the Lu families rushed to marry me. It wasn't just because Huai Jing wanted to repay my sister's favor. Rong Yin flipped to another page of the ledger. The Shen family's name was clearly recorded there. The Shen family was noble and pure. But the Lu family was not. Implied context: to avoid political factions, marrying a daughter of the Shen family would shield the Lu family from much suspicion. My fingers grew colder by the second. Rong Yan's voice deepened. Shen Jiwei is too sharp and ambitious, making her hard to control, but you have a soft nature. You're slow to react, and you're the easiest to coax. That's why they approved of this marriage. I stared at those words, and memories of my past life suddenly surfaced. The snow in the side courtyard of the Lu Manor. It turns out I wasn't just Huai Jing's responsibility, but a pawn chosen by the Lu family. Footsteps suddenly echoed from outside the gate. Huai Jing stood at the courtyard entrance, his face pale. I didn't know any of this in my past life. He looked at me, his voice strained. At least back then, I didn't know the whole truth. Rong Yin looked up coldly. Even if you didn't know, does that mean she didn't suffer? Huai Jing froze in place. I didn't cry. I just suddenly felt that the version of me who tried so hard to please him in my past life was truly pathetic. After that day, Huai Jing didn't return to the small courtyard outside the city. But the next morning, the Shen family's gatekeeper came to report that Lord Lu had been standing outside all night. When my sister led me out, Huai Jing was standing by the gate. The hem of his official robes was soaked with dew, and his eyes were bloodshot. His lips moved when he saw me, but instead of speaking, he knelt down. His knees hit the stone slabs with a thud. My father's expression shifted, and my mother was stunned. My sister stepped in front of me, asking coldly, Huai Jing, what are you doing? Huai Jing didn't look at her. He only looked at me. Mian Yin. I was wrong in our past life. His voice was so hoarse it was barely audible. I mistook debt for responsibility, and silence for dignity. I wrongly thought that giving you the title of Madame Lu was enough to protect you. He looked up. The corners of his eyes read, in this life, I truly want to marry you. Not for your sister. Not to repay a debt. But simply for you. If this were my past life, and I had heard these words, I probably would have cried with joy. I would have thought I'd finally reached my goal. But now I only feel it's too late. So late that the snow in the side courtyard has already melted. So late that the Shen Mian Yin who waited for him to look back has already died once. I looked at him and said softly, Huai Jing, I don't hate you anymore. A glimmer of light appeared in his eyes. But then I added, but I don't want you either. I don't want to marry someone who caused me so much pain. The light in Huai Jing's eyes shattered completely. After Huai Jing left, the Shen manor remained quiet for a long time. In the evening, my sister called me to the parlor. 2 marriage contracts lay on the table. One cover was embossed with the Rong clan crest, stating that the young master of the southern Rong clan would marry me with full honors and a grand procession. The other paper was thinner, but the handwriting was meticulous. It was a matrilocal marriage contract written by Rong Yen himself. I looked at the 2 contracts, my fingers instinctively shrinking into my sleeves. In my past life, my sister asked me who I'd choose. And later Huai Jing said he was willing to marry me. It seemed my whole life consisted of waiting for others to speak first, before I would cautiously nod my head. This time my sister didn't rush me. She simply placed a brush in front of me and said softly, Mian Yin, this time, you decide for yourself. I looked up at Rong Yen. He stood under the lamp, his back perfectly straight. Yet his fingertips were tightly gripping his sleeves. He was nervous. Yet he didn't say a single word to pressure me. Asked, are you truly willing to join the Shen family? Rong Yen immediately looked at me. I am. He paused. Then added earnestly, it's not a sacrifice for me. I just want you to know. You don't have to leave your home just to get married. And you don't have to force yourself to be sensible for anyone. The candlelight flickered slightly. I lowered my head, picked up the brush, and slowly wrote my name. This time it wasn't my sister choosing for me, nor Huai Jing granting me a favor, nor anyone's pity. It was my own choice. A year later, the old case against the Rong clan was cleared. That day, the first spring rain fell in the capital. Rong Yen returned from the Court of Judicial Review, his sleeves damp from the rain. But first he handed me a short note. The case is cleared. There will be sweets tonight. I held that piece of paper, staring at it for a long time, before a smile slowly spread across my face. The Lu family was implicated in the old case, and Huai Jing resigned to leave the capital. Before leaving, he sent a letter through an intermediary. I didn't open it. I simply had it returned exactly as it came. Some words are too late to be worth hearing. Pei Chengan later came to the Shen manor to ask for my sister's hand again. He stood outside the parlor, still looking like the dashing young man he once was. But my sister didn't even offer him tea. She only said indifferently, someone my sister rejected is someone I won't accept either. Later, my sister opened a school for women. She taught them to read, write contracts, and manage accounts. And she taught them how to choose their own paths. She said, women shouldn't just wait to be chosen. Rong Yen and I stayed in the capital. He didn't return to the south to be a high and mighty young master, but opened a zither shop next to the Shen manor. Sometimes I'm still slow to remember things. So on the table by the window and near my vanity, he leaves short notes for me. Sweets today. No worries tonight. I miss you very much. I put every single note into a small box. Some mocked him, the young master of the Rong clan, for being willing to marry into the Shen family. Rong Yen only gave a lazy smile, fastening the jade bell on my wrist. To belong to her, is my good fortune. My face flushed at his words, but I didn't hide anymore. Later, I would occasionally think of my past life, of the version of me who waited until death in the Lu courtyard. But now it doesn't hurt anymore. I finally understand. I am not my sister's debt, nor Lu Huaijing's responsibility, nor a burden anyone was forced to take on. I am Shen Mian Yin, and being a little slow is perfectly fine.